this is a well proven and well established mechanism what the SpaceX has established over a period of time. And as you rightly mentioned, safety is more important, especially when we are talking about manned flights. Even in India, when we are looking at Gaganyaan, we give the highest priority for manned air vehicles.
Welcome, viewers. Today is an exciting day. Uh, it was an exciting day for humanity where we were able to bring back our two astronauts, I guess, stuck in the space for 9 months. In 9 months, a baby comes out. So, Sunita Williams, Indian origin astronaut, and Mr. I think Buke, the other gentleman, they were brought back, and we heard a lot of stories. So I'm privileged and happy to tell you viewers that I have Mr. Divakar G, who is in Texas, USA, an ISRO scientist. He will introduce himself a little bit, and then we'll talk about this event. So Divakar Ji, Swagatam, welcome to this
Thank you.
platform.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very good morning to you.
Yes, sir.
Basically, I'm here for some work. I have been in ISRO for about 36 years. Uh, just recently superannuated as scientific secretary of ISRO, and presently I am ISRO chair professor at National Institute of Advanced Studies, contributing to the space technology development in the country through the National Institute of Advanced Studies, which is situated in Indian Institute of Science, one of the premier institutions in the country. So it's always heartening to view the various things that is happening across the world. And one of the important event, what happened yesterday was, of course, what you mentioned, that Sunita Williams safely returning back to the Earth. It is a rejoicing moment for the entire world, and especially in India, where she takes her origin from. So thank you very much for having me on this talk.
Sure. So thank you, sir. So there are a few things I have, since you come from a scientist background and you understand space so well. There were a few things I observed. One was the NASA and the SpaceX interaction, where the capsule, the Dragon capsule, which was able to bring. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Why can't NASA have their own capsule, and do we have something similar in ISRO, or do we plan to build something similar? Whatever is classified for public, you can talk those things. So yeah.
See, the SpaceX module, which has been working very closely with NASA, is one of the important advantages that NASA has produced over a period of time in US. Earlier days, if you look at it, NASA was doing most of the things. But down the line, they have encouraged through the policies to have many private companies to work on the space related activities. And obviously SpaceX has emerged as one of the top institutions in the world today, with best of technologies. And the NASA's experiment of encouraging the private uh, participation in space has really yielded excellent results. And the way SpaceX is today able to do things, and the rate at which the time they take, very little time they take to do certain things, that has been really fascinating. And there's nothing wrong in the way the US has gone by encouraging SpaceX, while of course NASA plays its own role of doing the premier research in the space exploration, which they are doing and they continue to do, and they have excellent scientists doing wide varieties of things. But SpaceX and many other private companies do implement many of these kind of activities, which is very, very important for the country. And they are highly innovative also. At the same time, they are able to do practical things uh, up in space, and also related to the Earth. A similar kind of a scenario is emerging in India also, but we are possibly a bit late. Initially, of course, India had a different scenario altogether. India's primary goal initially was to see to that we use space for national development, for example. So we got into the space exploration a bit later, after we were able to successfully establish the way the space can be used for natural resources development in the country. Because India being a very large country with huge population, the first priority for us is food and shelter. So we have tried to use the space in those directions very successfully. Possibly India has the best success stories how space can be used for natural resources development, or even national development, or even governance. All these areas are now today in India being used using space. Now we have started looking at the space slightly in a different way, where we try to do space exploration. Like we have seen the Mars, what do you call, exploration. We have gone triple times to moon, and we plan to go more number of times to moon, and many other things happening. And of course, the Aditya L1, which has also gone to the sun. So we have started looking at the space in a different way. At the same time, we are encouraging a lot of private entrepreneurs to work with us. There are plenty of startup. In fact, there's a huge hub of startup. More than 200 startups today work in India on spacecrafts, on launch vehicles, on applications and various things. So the scenario is developing in India also, wherein there is a change in the policy from 2023, where we have come out with our own space law, where we encourage the private entrepreneurs and startups and incubations to take up such kind of activities. So days are
Right.
not far where we will also start looking at similar scenarios in India also. Yeah.
Great, great. So, since you are here and the viewers, we are privileged to have him here. There are a few things I would like to discuss with Professor, now, which is, sir, there were several unique scientific parameters that was achieved when this SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule was successfully descended on Earth, or landed, whatever word is right. One was the duration of return, and what from that I mean is the return journey took approximately 17 hours, significantly longer than 3.5 hours typical for other spacecraft like Russia's SUYUZ. Uh, this extended time was due to a carefully managed descent process that prioritized crew safety and landing accuracy. Would you like to comment on this a little bit for the viewers to understand?
Um, of course, I don't have full details on the technical
Sure.
aspects of the descent, but this is a well proven and well established mechanism what the SpaceX has established over a period of time. And as you rightly mentioned, safety is more important, especially when we are talking about manned flights. Even in India, when we are looking at Gaganyaan, we give the highest priority for manned air vehicles, and very special protection and additional security mechanisms, which is very, very necessary for any ascent or descent, especially when you are crossing through the atmosphere, which is
Right.
most important. And we have seen the kind of accidents that has happened earlier, so we wouldn't like to have any one of those repeating again. So that way, I think SpaceX has taken extra precautions, considering also the situation that Sunita Williams went through, and of course the other astronauts who stayed for a long time there. So it was all that important because the whole world was also watching. There was no need to hurry up and then bring them down at a rapid pace. Rather, they have taken a very smooth path of descent with a very safe return back, and also the re-entry into the atmosphere without any issues, and safely dropping into the ocean. So uh, the time was not a issue here. Rather, I would say uh, the safety was a bigger issue, and that has been very well achieved.
Okay. And again, you don't have to be, because it's a NASA's work, so we don't have to really comment on that. But I'm just sharing with the viewers. The two more observation. One is the deorbit burn, a critical maneuver performed around 5:11 p.m. Eastern time involved igniting the capsule thruster to reduce its speed from approximately 17,000 mph. Wow. This deorbit burn adjusted trajectory for a safe re-entry into Earth atmosphere. So you already have kind of touched this. Another the second last is control re-entry. Now this is where the SpaceX comes into the play. Unlike a direct ballistic descent, the Crew Dragon re-entry was controlled to manage extreme heating from the atmospheric friction, from ensuring the smoother ride, reducing the stress and spacecraft crew. So this is phenomenal, right? For a private player, achieve
Absolutely.
so much. Yeah, yeah. And
Absolutely.
lastly, I have, and then I'll let you speak on that. The parachute deployment. The capsule utilized four main parachutes to slow its descent before splashdown. So this was also something very amazing. So yeah, I mean, overall, in nutshell, what you saw, and how we can not only learn. It's not that ISRO doesn't know all these things, but our priority, as you very rightly said, being a very large country, we have more different kind of priority, right? So what is our future, and seeing all these exciting things happening, how do you see this?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. The way the deorbit as well as the reentry has been, especially the reentry control has been handled by SpaceX is phenomenal, and it's a very big lesson for everybody to learn. And the way it has been done, absolutely, and also exactly targeting the right point where you would like to come and land on the Earth. All that is kept in mind when you do the deorbiting as well as you plan the re-entry with the proper control. This entire phenomena and the technology has been beautifully demonstrated by SpaceX. Absolutely, no doubt about it. And the way the parachutes were deployed, the four parachutes were deployed, was also pretty well expected and well functioned also, and very well demonstrated, and they very smoothly splashed onto the Pacific without much of a problem at all. In fact, India has been working on a similar mechanism, particularly with respect to the crew module what we have been building for Gaganyaan, and we have already gone through two tests wherein we had exactly a similar mechanism being experimented, because this is most important. The crew module, wherein uh, the astronauts will be there up in space for quite a while, and their safe return is most important. And both the times, the tests what we have done, we had a similar mechanism of parachute deployment, the re-entry, and the mechanism of re-entry. All that is becoming very, very important. And of course, this entire process, what we have seen, certainly India will be looking at it very, very closely, because uh, our experiments have been on the same lines, and certainly we should be learning a lot and doing that. Very soon, you will be seeing a Gaganyaan test flight, where we will, of course, it will not be a manned flight right now, because we are still going through various tests as far as Gaganyaan is concerned. Both the manned flight, in the sense the launch vehicle should be fully tested and ready for having manned flights, and also the crew module, like what I talked about, will have to be maneuvered over a period of time, and then its re-entry, the parachute deployment, and very safe return onto the water. So this whole process is going on, and certainly yesterday's demonstration was phenomenal. Absolutely.
So my other question will be related to ISRO. So we saw that all our whether Mars project, or the Gaganyaan, or the Chandrayaan, the what we hear that we do not have a very strong engine to take the satellite to the last stage, where it will be thrown into the space. So we do that slingshot, that shooting like that, right? uh, do you think that it takes a lot of your time and calculation, where in the overall project planning, because we do not have the engine? It's not that we are not successful, it's much better because we can do in much economical rate. But what is your take as a scientist?
See, it is basically the power of the launch vehicle, what you're talking about.
Ji.
So, in the absence of such a power available for us to have a launch vehicle which can take, which through which we can take a different path altogether, we have used a different mechanism of utilizing the gravity of the Earth as well as gravity of the Moon or gravity of the Mars for doing a slingshot, which is quite a popular mechanism which has been used by many. So we didn't want the science to wait until the launch vehicle gets ready. So we are working on heavier launch vehicles, heavier liftoff possibilities, at the same
Mm,
time greater power, because we will need better technologies like semi-cryo engines we'll have to develop, more powerful cryo engines we'll have to develop, which is getting ready as far as Gaganyaan is concerned, where we should be able to reach up to even 10-ton class of vehicles. So the days are not far where we will be able to have heavier launch vehicle, at the same time powerful launch vehicles, wherein we will be able to reduce the time to go to either Mars or the Moon. Obviously, to go to Mars, we almost took a year, like many others also took, because the Maven launch also was around the same time from US. US and
mm,
India both reached the Mars around the same time, with
mm,
a few days gap, and we almost took around the same time. But today's launch vehicles, either by SpaceX or Russian launches, are capable of reaching Mars much faster, or reaching even Moon very fast. So these are possibilities. But at the same time, the argument from India side was there is no hurry for you to really reach the Moon or Mars. Uh, they are in their orbit, we are in our orbit. How does it matter? We can always reach either Moon or Mars in whatever mechanism we would like to adopt, and see to that we are able to achieve all the what do you call experiments that we have planned to do. For example, uh, in the Mars mission, we were able to do the mapping of the Mars by staying around the Mars for quite a good amount of time, like 3 years. We were able to do a lot of mapping of Mars. Similarly, the Moon, we possibly deployed one of the best, Chandrayaan 2 particularly, we possibly deployed one of the best orbiter around the Moon, which is orbiting around 100 kilometers and providing excellent information at centimeter resolution. So
mm.
objectives are achieved, but the question is, we do have limitation with respect to the launch vehicle capabilities, and it is only a matter of time wherein we will be able to do that also. Yeah.
Okay. So the students who are listening to you in this show, in the era of AI, and changing job nature, and how will you attract new talents in this area? What is the ISRO doing on this? Yeah.
In fact, if you look at it in India today, lakhs of students would like to simply join ISRO.
Wow.
Um, and hundreds of IIT, IISc graduates are already working through startups. And the kind of startup ecosystem that has been created in India is possibly second to none. Uh, for example, some of these popular startups like Pixel, Galaxy, and Agnikul, I can go on naming quite a few startups. They are doing wonderful job, and they are doing very innovative jobs. And all these are youngsters who have just come out of universities or from top IITs and things like that. And these are the people who are highly motivated and encouraged to do the next level of research for space. And India has already created that kind of an ecosystem, and they work very closely with ISRO. ISRO has a different mechanism of working with incubations and startups today, and there is a huge encouragement from all the facilities and technologies that ISRO has been able to develop today to encourage the startups and ecosystems to work with us in ISRO. So that way, earlier it used to be just ISRO and certain industries, about 500 industries we have developed over a period of time. They used to do various subsystems for ISRO, but today it is not so. Not only those industries who work with ISRO, but there are a large number of startups who are having specific objectives, and they are able to build excellent spacecrafts, and even launch vehicle testing has already started. In fact, one of the startups was already able to develop a semi cryo engine and test it out.
Wow.
from our Indian soil very successfully. So they are doing wonders. Very soon, I'm sure we will see a totally different scenario as far as space is concerned, because there is a huge encouragement in the field of aerospace in India, where a lot of youngsters are working through startups or even working within India, within ISRO, for
Okay.
the space related objectives.
Very good, very good. And one of the things are what we have observed is, in spite of all the Western progressive countries, the number of female top scientists in ISRO
Yeah,
leading many projects
yeah,
is unparalleled. No
yeah,
country can. We should boast that. Actually,
yeah,
even
absolutely.
NASA cannot come to that. And
Yeah,
so that's
absolutely.
one big, big thing. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. In fact, many of my colleagues have been very accomplished ladies and who have done wonders, and all of them have been able to achieve something or the other, be it in the area of launch vehicle, be it in the area of spacecrafts, be it in the area of managing the spacecrafts, and wide varieties of things. They are into all areas of space. So that way, it is a very encouraging sign for even ladies who are basically supposed to be taking care of home. In fact, they do both in India. They take care of home, at the
Yes.
same time they are very proficient as scientists in ISRO. Both the things happen. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a very proud moment for India.
Yeah, salute to them. It's really really remarkable, and
Very
thing of proudness, pride for us. Okay, so in the last wrap up, share with you, so the tagline which we have in this channel is, na or na chhod na karenge bol, which means that, we are not very definitive in any discussion. We allow everybody to have their own view, but we teach things with some kind of education with entertainment. So anything interesting you would like to share, a little lighter moment, and your role, what new projects you're doing, what we should be knowing and we should be looking forward. um, we'll wrap up with that, so
yeah.
please go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, you mentioned about AI. I'm working very closely with a small team with me on developing AI tools to use multi-time space data and see how we can understand the kind of development that India has gone through over a period of time. And with the understanding through the AI tools, is it possible for us to frame the future in a much better way? So these kind of objectives are being pursued. So let us say I use some 50 years of satellite images, like let us say 1973 to 2024, and train the system to understand the kind of growth that has happened, be it in urban, be it in rural, be it in any part of the country. It could be related to major reservoirs, it could be related to the agricultural development, it could be forests, it could be urban, the urban growth, the urban sprawl. So what we do is we train the CNN model with the LSTM tool to learn from the developments what has happened over a period of time, and see how these images can be used for the future direction or future growth, so that the planners and developers in the country, or the agricultural development in the country, or any of these themes you take, we should be able to scale a different path of development, more from the sustainable development point of view. Today the UN talks about sustainable development goals, and India is one country which is very closely looking at the sustainable development goals as one of the big challenges, because we have a huge population and big population density. So if we have to progress in a meaningful way in the coming decades, we need to have a very good planning, and AI plays a very important role there for us to decide our own future. That's one of the important areas I work on today. Yeah.
So I'm forgetting a name. There is a scientist. I think he has aged now. Probably he lives in Karnataka. I think ISRO scientist from Vikram Sarabhai Institute or something. He writes a lot of fiction on science. And what I was thinking is, if ISRO scientists, like, people who have so much experience, if you can write fictions, like 80% it should be truth, but 20% like fiction, so that we
Okay.
can make kids so much, we can start molding the mind from very beginning, right?
You're right.
Like, something like that, we should do, because that is another way of, spreading our science knowledge. And so, your thought on that, sir?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think there's a
In fact, that's very, very important. You touched upon a very important point. If we have to encourage large number of younger generation to take up space and do national development, this is a very important thing, and I'm already doing it. For the last 1 year, I have been doing a lot of writing, in a lighter sense, as you rightly said, because if you start writing technical, nobody would read. You should have a common man in focus, and you should have younger generation in focus, and then try to see to that they understand what you write. So I have already started writing about, let us say, water, importance of water, water
Hmm.
cycle, how important it is, and what space can do, how space can help you in understanding the water cycle, and uh, do your living in such a way the water cycle is protected. Similarly, I talk to a lot of children on astronomy. I teach them astronomy every weekend so that
Oh,
they develop the interest in astronomy, because astronomy is very, very unique, as far as, means, if you start understanding the universe, it takes you everywhere. So I do teach astronomy to 5 6 schools, and this happens in the weekends, and during weekdays I do have time for writing, at the same time doing research. So I space my time out in multiple ways, so that it addresses all these things what you said. Yeah, I'm already on
no.
to it.
Like you guys are rishis of our country, right? Science and modern day rishis. It's an awesome job you are doing. Really, we are blessed to have people like you. So awesome. So in the end, Divakar ji, what uh, unique project you think ISRO is doing in next 5 years, which will take it to a different level from your perspective? And now we have reached, I think, Mars and Moon,
Yeah.
but have we benefited by getting, say, minerals or some kind of research which can really be of a scale up, like substantial, where rather than right now we have started, so I won't say it is symbolic. We have Shiv Shakti point, we have all those things, but
Yeah.
something like which can affect your GPS, which could affect your internet, something that scale. Do you see us in 5 years reaching there, or still there's time?
Yeah, it's important actually. This is an important area which there is a very clear goal set out by the Prime Minister himself on what ISRO should be doing. So the first goal for us is, of course, to see to that Gaganyaan goes off smoothly. Towards Gaganyaan to go smoothly, and also to see to that we have the next Chandrayaan flight with sample return from moon, which would address one of the point what you said. For example, in future, if we have to do mining on the moon, or if we have to take out some interesting minerals with international understanding, then we should
Hmm.
have the capability to go there and do it. So for that, we have just demonstrated the docking and undocking. We had the SpaceX mission recently, which wherein we launched 2 satellites. They successfully docked, and recently we undocked, and we plan to do many more experiments of this docking and undocking. And because this is going to be important for our Chandrayaan 4, because there will be multiple stretches of docking and undocking before we deploy on, means we uh, uh, go on to the moon around the same point which we had gone earlier. But this time the objective would be to come back with sample. So we may possibly carry about 3 kgs of mined material from moon and bring it back to earth for examination of that particular data, to understand what kind of a material is there, what kind of mineral is there, etc. But we already have a very good idea of what is the moon made of, from all the remote sensing images what we have been able to gather. So
Yeah.
this will be one of the important things which we will be doing. Of course, we also have Indo-Japanese moon mission, that will be Chandrayaan 5, which will again go back with joint experiment, which will also possibly prove to us much more things than what we know about the moon, before we start looking at 2 important programs. One is to make our own Bharatiya space station.
Hmm.
The target is something like 2035, and we possibly by 2040 should be able to land man on the moon also. So before that, we would have done Chandrayaan 4 and Chandrayaan 5. We would have understood the material on the moon. We would have developed the technologies to take man to the moon, and we possibly will look forward to achieving these goals immediately, and see how we can start looking at moon in a much different way. Particularly, as you rightly said, if we are talking about GDP point of view or FDI point of view, there should be a good possibility for India in the next 10 years to reach to a much different heights altogether as far as space exploration is concerned. Of course, we do also have a focus on the Mars. We plan to return to Mars this time, possibly with a rover, and do a little bit of mining there also, if possible. In addition to that, we also have plans to go to Venus. So all
Venus.
these are the exploratory missions which India is planning. While we are doing that, the startup ecosystem and others will possibly have more launches around the Earth, and we possibly understand better about the oceans, the atmosphere, the land, and the water for sustainable development. So we do have a very good plan, both from the Earth as a planet as well as other planets exploration point of view.
Okay, so this is not a scientific question. It's more of a human question. So in the era when you have robotics, engineering, you have AI, you have so many things, why would you put your human beings on harm way? Like Sunita Williams stuck for 9 months. It's a hazard on the job, and if it happened on the Earth, where an employee is locked in a room, so many lawsuits will come into the picture. Now, what are we trying to prove which a robot cannot do it? And we are sending humans just for a bravado mission that we are ahead in science, because there are a lot of questions will come of NASA's ethics, and I will be also asking that question to them, because you say that you are the top, but you got your guys stuck for 9 months, and still a private agency was able to bring. So again, this is not a scientific question, just a human question. Why are we risking humans, right?
See, it is not risking human. It is, I would say, possibly to acquire better primary data on another planet. And unless we do primary research, there is no way forward. For example, if you look at the Artemis program of US, where even India is part of, and many other countries, more than 40-50 countries are part of this Artemis mission, it is going to be an international endeavor to see to that we have a permanent station on the moon, and moon will serve as a station to start off, and it is a stepping stone for us to go to any other planet for exploration. And see,
Correct.
universe, if you carefully understand the universe, there is a lot of wealth in the universe. So if you want to really understand that or acquire that for better living on the earth, there is no harm actually. But as
Okay.
you rightly said, robots can do many things. The mechanical things which can be done by the robots anyway will be done. For example, the sample return experiment will be a robotic mission. It will be completely robotic, where we will have the robots doing the mining and extracting material and bringing it back. But
Mm.
once we understand the materials what we get from the moon and all the safety measures are taken into consideration, then only humans will go. So humans will not simply go and land on the moon without understanding the moon surface. Of course, Apollo missions have established what is moon all about, but we are going to a different place where Apollo has not gone. Like we are planning to go to the polar region of the moon, because we have already established water. So we have some safety measure with respect to water. Now next is
Mm.
whether a human habitation is possible in these areas, is the next question. So before we do that, obviously the mining material will tell us what kind of a system it is, and we have already got some very good thermal properties examined from the Chandrayaan 3 program, and even from the earlier programs of NASA. So
Okay.
with all that understanding and safety measures kept in mind, the human mission will really start getting into the moon. And once we have uh, a good understanding of the moon, then looking and exploring other planets will become much more easier as compared to what it is today. So it has always been, see, if you take traditionally, or if you go back in hundreds of years, the way the human race has come, it has always been exploratory. It has always been taking chances. So we should be taking chances in the space also. At the same
Okay.
time, we should be taking chances in getting into the ocean, deep into the ocean also, because
Yes.
it is even more difficult to get into the ocean and explore the ocean. And there is a lot of things which we don't know in the ocean today also.
Yeah. I
So
mean, we don't even know our
exploration,
or yeah. So the for the younger kids, are you bringing alien from Mars, or or have you brought in Chandrayaan some kind of a soil in which some kind of a or living being or some kind of organism, right? You don't have to be a human shape; it could be any shape. They came on the Earth. Are we taking care of those things? How would you address these type of
as
queries?
of now, I don't think we have any what do you call living beings brought back from moon, which is impossible because we are looking at something like minus 143 degrees Celsius to plus 242 degrees Celsius, something like that, on the surface
Hmm.
of the moon, depending on the sunlight, present of the sunlight or absence of the sunlight.
Hmm.
Similarly, the harsh conditions on the Mars also doesn't really allow you. Of course, nobody has landed on on the Mars so far, but there is a possibility. Like SpaceX is already planning that somebody should be landing in Mars next year itself. That kind of a
Hmm.
plan is already there. So uh, things are going on, and there is a lot of research going on Earth-like planet discoveries. And
Yeah.
many people have found a few light years, 100 light years away, or 200 light years away, some kind of Earth-like planets being present. But there is a lot of exploration still to be done. Similarly, there are doubts that there could be possibility of microorganisms deep inside Mars, may not be on the surface of the Mars.
Correct. Yes.
But these are all hunches and doubts and experimental outcomes, which obviously all of us are exploring. So it would be worth to really encounter them, understand them, and then move forward. I think as human race has been, it has always been exploratory, and we want to be exploratory. We cannot stop any exploration at any given point of time.
Yes, yes. India and Indic civilization has always been seeker civilization. We have always done that. So thank you, sir, so much.